Hail, hail, and welcome to the 22nd Temporary Stand podcast. Hoping I'm getting that number right this week. Well, this week we'll see us close out the International Tim Series, and we were delighted to host Marty Gilmore, Chairman of the Ballymena Shamrock CSC up there in North Antrim. It's maybe a bit tedious calling Ballymena International, however, we shipped in Marty to the series after missing out on another target, and I'll tell you, the boy didn't disappoint. We hope you enjoy this edition. Nothing left to say, see you on the other side. It's Wednesday the 15th August, it's 20 past 6 and we're going to eventually complete our International Tim Series. So on the line I'm delighted to welcome Marty Gilmore all the way from Ballymena. So how's it going, Marty?
Right on, mate, you just caught me at a good time coming from work, I'm starving.
Me too, don't worry about it. Right, so we'll bar ahead. We'll start with a wee introduction. Tell us about yourself, Marty. Where are you from? What's your Celtic past? What's your Celtic beginnings? What's it like growing up being a Celtic man in Ballymena? When did you start heading to the matches?
Well, basically I'm 31 years old. None of my family really grew up supporting Celtic, to be honest. A few guys at school, a few mates in my estate. The first time I actually went to a match was just before the 16th birthday. Celtic and Rangers in the Cup, the Canio and Milky Mackay. Like a lot of people around our age, we grew up in school and go down the coast till Cushendall and Glenarth to catch games on STV. The guys down in the pubs down there picked up a lot of games on the Scottish aerials. So that was sort of the way up until sort of the mid-90s, whenever it sort of went on to Sky. That was us every weekend going down to watch Celtic. At that time, things weren't really successful. We grew up sort of Rangers won the league nearly every season, and then Wim Janssen and Henrik Larsson came and sort of changed things for the better for us. But that's basically it. You know, in the town, you know, people would see Ballymena and think Rangers and stuff, but there's a hell of a lot of Celtic fans in North Antrim and South Derry that we've all been very friendly with.
Mm-hmm. So you said none of your family were really Celtic people. How did you end up with it? Just through school? Yeah,
through school. Primary school. A lot of guys sort of grew up supporting Celtic, and we all sort of idolised Paul McStay. The first time I ever got a Celtic kit, I was 11, passed me 11. Just before I was 11, passed me 11 plus, and it was a Ford People's kit. £26. It came in a wee box. Shorts. So
that was when it was a replica kit days. Aye.
Yeah, 26 quid. That was my present for passing me 11 plus.
Fantastic. Aye, because it would have been easy. I mean, if you're saying you're not even coming from a Celtic family with regards immediate family, it might have been easy to go and support the English Premier teams, especially if you say Ballymena wouldn't it be a kind of hotbed, a big Tim place, you know. So give me, just a simple Glasgow boy, give me a wee idea of what your typical journey is to a home game, to an away game, whatever. What's the run-of-the-mill things you do?
Well, basically, I take the bookings and pay the bills and organise the tickets for the club, which is something we would talk about later. But yeah, basically the bus starts off just outside Ballymena, pick people up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Usually a 49-seater. Picks up Mahara, Clary, Ballymena. We're up to the ferry. We go on the Stena, craft across to Carnryan now. And usually docking off about 10 o'clock. We're arriving in Glasgow about 12, so we're usually the first people in and around Celtic Park on a match day. You know, the ferry used to be, sometimes it would be 1,000 people, sometimes it would be 200 people. We all get to know each other. You're invited to weddings of people, you're invited to listings. You know, it's just every week that's your social life. And if you get to Glasgow, some of us that are silly enough to run supporters clubs heading to the ticket up and paying bills. Other people go to the Ford Centre, KFC, McDonald's. Others are going to the bars. Some go to the Brazen and give that multi-millionaire more money that runs the pub over there. So that's just the way it goes. We've all got seats real more or less in the jog sting stand. Usually see a wee victory, jump back into the coach park and straight down the road under the ferry about 7:30, and we got back home about 11 o'clock. So you're more or less away for 18, 20 hours. And in our club, there's people from 5, 6 years old till people nearly sometimes travel over in their 80s, which is no different than any other club in Ireland. Everyone mixes of ages and sexes and genders and different types of jobs, but when it comes to a Saturday, we all just support Celtic.
Brilliant, Marty, brilliant. Aye, I think Glasgow people really don't kind of realise how much they've got it easy with regard to having Celtic Park on your doorstep. But so stuff like that certainly wakes you up a wee bit. Right, so you're saying you're 31, right? You're a year younger than myself. So I've kind of appreciate all the years you've been gone. So what's your standout moments? What's the special moments you've witnessed in all these years that you've been coming to Celtic Park? Or not even Celtic Park, European moments, whatever.
The different nights and days give different prides. Obviously, beating St Johnstone, we're lucky enough to be there. There was 5 or 6 kids within the club. We're at that game. I was about 17 at the time. Henrik, and done the business. And Bratback was probably a time when you realised we could actually win things. We won the League Cup that year. Then you sort of go into the big bad world of European football. The night we played Juventus, Maracek destroyed Juventus at Celtic Park. The night against Valencia, the noise, although we didn't go through that night, was unreal. Sometimes we've lost the league. A few years ago, we went to Dundee United. Rangers won the league at Hibs, and we had a sing-song, which was fantastic, like the good old days, and it gives you a different sense of pride. And I seen grown men hug and kiss each other after that match, even though we lost the league. So no matter what, you can always take enjoyment of seeing Celtic.
Brilliant, mate, brilliant. So that covers you, Marty boy. We'll take a wee break and we'll get into part 2, and we're going to look at the famous Ballymena Shamrock bus, and we can get rattled right into that, pal. Okay?
Okay, no probs.
Alright, we'll come back to part 2. You're currently a member of the Ballymena Shamrock Club, which I believe is 20-year-old. What's your role at the club, Marty? How long have you been travelling with that club?
Basically, I've always travelled with the club since just before I was 16, so we're talking more or less 16 years. When I was about 18, I got involved in helping with the ticket for home matches, and at that time it was the vouchers and midweek games and trying to sell on tickets whenever people weren't available to come over during the week. Then sort of about 6-7 years ago, I became the chairman of the club, which involves doing a bit of everything, I suppose. Accounts, taking bookings, paying bills to Stena, paying bills to our coach company Chambers, paying Celtic. So it probably takes about 20 hours a week of my life, to be honest. But in saying that, I've met people and talked to people in different positions and in various companies that have helped develop myself as a person, I suppose. So I have to take some positives out of all the work you put into it.
Aye. Well, you're telling about the club. You've been on the club 16 years. You're now the chairman of the club. Give us a wee background of the club. I mean, where do you come out of? Do you come out of a pub? Do you come out of a certain area? You mentioned earlier on that you picked up in the way. I mean, are these guys all member of your clubs even though they're not from Ballymena? I mean, it was Marty kind of said to me, and you have reiterated, Ballymena is hardly an actual territory for a Celtic supporters club. So was it hard in the past?
No. Celtic supporters have been going from Ballymena for 50, 60 years. One of the members in the club's 89 years old, Tommy Quinn. We had current members over at the European Cup final, and people went in drips and drabs in their own way. You hear the old boys talking about cattle ships going to Glasgow and ending 25 million years and 80 days around the world just to go see a match and all those sort of stories. But a fella, Johnny McChrystal, sort of brought the club together in 1991 and started off running the bus. And ever since, the club's been going strong. There's more or less a bus to every single home game at Celtic Park. Some of the mid-league matches, the members would fly. Obviously, the numbers drop with people having to take days off work. And then the European games during the week, the bus. Like at the minute, I'm sorting out the Helsingborg match for in a couple of weeks, so we've got about 60 members going over to that game. So every year that the club will go stronger in my eyes. Now, the way we look at it at the minute, whenever I was 16, 17, there was 50, 60 guys at my age who saved up their pocket money to go see Celtic. Everything was saving up. It cost you about 30, 40 quid to pay for your ferry, your coach, and your match ticket. And that's something now that we are aware of isn't happening anymore. So we're trying to bring in kids, and people are bringing grandkids from all over. Now, the club's got people from Donegal, there's people from South Derry, people in North Antrim up as far as Ballycastle, Dunoy, Lochgill, and Ballymena, with people from the Glens of Antrim, people from parts of Belfast, and people parts of County Down. So although we're called Ballymena Shamrock, there's people all over the north of Ireland who have joined the club for various reasons. And that's something now that we hope to continue on this year. We've got 15 kids tickets. There's about 33, 34 adult tickets that the club own. There's also guys who travel here with their own season cards. There's maybe another 10, 15 of those. So we've got quite a big number of season tickets within the club. And that number hasn't really rose or it hasn't fallen. It's just been a steady falling. And the club's made up maybe of about 20 to 30 families where there's grandfathers, fathers and kids all travelling on the bus. And the same, there's a lot of women on the bus as well. So it's sort of mixed in all sorts of ways.
That's brilliant, especially what you were saying about the kids there, aye. You've just kind of answered the next question I was going to say. With all the cheaper flights coming in now, I mean, and certainly my era, since I started going to see Celtic, the fact that Ryanair and all these people fly to all these places for cheap enough means that I can go to European games, just like you're saying. However, it must have affected the bus to an extent. I mean, as you say, it's a full shift to go to a home game on the bus. Did you never lose members because of that? Guys who just didn't see the point. They could book a flight in advance.
Well, we all fly to the away games. There's very few of us would fly go on the ferry to an away match. The way the times you wouldn't get up to the kickoff time, right? So that's one area of the club that's grown because of the flights. Right. But most people traveling to home game, the kids in our club are traveling over to a match for £30. So right. You're going on the ferry and it's costing 25 quid. So they're basically getting from Glasgow back again for a fiver. Now with families, if you've got 2 or 3 people going from the one family, to get to the airport, you have to go at the same time, 8 o'clock in the morning, you're out more money, you have to park your car, someone has to drive, you have to watch what you drink, and then you have to get from the airport to Celtic Park. So, and then most of the time you're by yourself and you're not in the same community that our Celtic families, what they call it, that you have on the bus. We do bits and pieces, there's raffles on the bus, there's winner takes it all draws, there's different games, and people have, there's kids being born, and it's more of a getting together, and not just within our club. There's once you go onto the ferry, there's clubs from Belfast, there's clubs from Portadown, clubs from different parts of Derry, different parts of County Antrim, some guys like Donegal, Monaghan. So we all know each other, although we live maybe 100 miles from each other, and we see these people more than we see people in our hometowns. Mm-hmm. So people don't really want to get away from that and fly. Flying, to me, going to an away game, it's something that has to be done. But give me going on the ferry any day of the week.
Yeah. The social side, I know what you're saying. That's excellent. Do you guys have a relationship with the Association of Irish Celtic Supporters Clubs?
We've never been in the association. We're one of the most northern clubs in Ireland. Like I say, whenever there's a lot of politics and stuff, I suppose, when it comes to supporters clubs in Ireland, that all happened a long time before I was involved in things, thankfully. But we just sort of ran ourselves. The guy who ran the club, Johnny, years ago, I don't know how he'd done it. Nowadays I've got a club phone, texts, emails. Back in those days, this man was working non-stop, and his phone was ringing non-stop to his house. So we didn't have the time to join things. Now we certainly know guys in Donegal and their association, the association in Ireland, people who aren't. But the way I look at it is we're all Celtic supporters, and we all help each other out. We go to each other's dues, and to me that's the way it should be. And as long as you're getting the Celtic fans to Celtic Park as cheaply as possible, and everyone's getting a fair deal, then there's no room for any complaints. And to be honest, a lot of clubs do that, and a lot of clubs are still going strong today.
Yeah, that's quite right. Aye. You're part of that Celtic family anyway, without being part of another association.
Yeah, you don't look at anybody any different because they're in a different club. Or, I travel with guys from different clubs to away games all over Scotland, and they're your friends. You don't look at them as any sort of got more tickets than our club or any of that sort of rubbish. We all try to help each other out, and that's just the way it is. And it wouldn't be any different.
Aye, no, you're right. Even a wee phone call up that the coppers are pulling people over in Aberdeen and stuff like that. Right, yep. So you mentioned North Antrim. That's for people who don't know, that's where Ballymena kind of is. So what level of Celtic support is there in North Antrim in general? I mean, where would you call the Celtic hotspots?
Well, where we live at, there's a big sort of Gaelic community. There's a Celtic community as well, and they all sort of overlap. The summertime, people have got different things going on in their lives. So you've Ballycastle, big area within the club. There's guys in it from Dunloy. Dunloy would be a famous hurling area. Lochgale, current All Ireland champions. A lot of guys involved in the club were over the years to see Celtic. And then there's Ballymena. There's the Glens of Antrim, and there's a club down there would be very friendly with the guys who run it down there as well. But again, there's some people who moved out of Ballymena who live in these areas who stay within our club. Mm-hmm. Then you go into the South Derry. There's Maghera, Macrophil, Clary, and areas like that. And we would sort of try, and the bus would sort of start in different places over the course of the season. We get sort of link up with the local youth clubs and schools and run various trips and try and maybe bring over 15, 20 kids. Nowadays we realise that if we're playing at Celtic Park on 2 consecutive Saturdays, we have to look about how we're going to how to fill the bus or what games we identify to let kids know and their parents there's space for a non-member and such like. But there's thousands of fans of all football clubs in North Antrim, but no one takes as many people over as what Celtic does. You just have to walk up to the boats on Saturday morning, and at 6 o'clock you see all these buses heading over. It's like a wagon train, as I would call it. And there's a lot of people who support different teams. Match of the day fans, we call it. They don't really do anything except hit an interactive button in Sky. We're in Celtic Park. We've got our seats. We go to away games. We go to games abroad. And we know no matter what, we're part of Celtic. And people who support other teams just don't have that. And trying to explain it to these people, they don't really have a clue. But next week we're off on an adventure to Sweden. We're going to Helsingborg. We're going on a couple of flights. We'll meet friends. We're landing somewhere. We don't know where the hell we're going to. We'll get a train. You know this for yourself. But it's every other week's an adventure, and you come back and you've got a story. And you'll be talking about it for years to come. And it's a great way to live. And some of us are fortunate enough that we can afford to do it. And some people can afford to do it, but also want to help others to come along. And we try our club, but I buy my season ticket in the club for £200. It gets me all the matches. The kids are getting for £100, and it's a very good deal. And to be honest, there's people coming, and we've got one of the guys in the club is the mayor of the town. There's people in the club who don't work. There's people in the club who are accountants. But it comes to Saturday, everyone's a Celtic fan and everyone's an equal. And I think that's the beauty of it, the whole thing.
I totally agree with you, mate. Totally agree. So just to close off that section, the club's been going 20 years, and you sound like you've got a really, really good structure there with regards. I wouldn't even call it a quality. It's just looking after people, which I've really not heard something as well structured as that in a long, long time with regards a club. So what's your kind of hopes for the future? Where do you, as chairman, where do you want to take this bus to? Are you just happy enough just to make sure it keeps on strong, keep these kids coming in? Is there any plans?
No, that's basically it. Every year we look to bring in more people to keep the club going. The club's all about getting Celtic fans from the area we live in across the Celtic Park. We'll try and make things as cheap as possible. Whether it's knocking off a wee fiver or tenner here, or you give discounts to families or whatever. And the books are there. Whoever wants to see the books sees the books. And we if it's not broke, then you no point in fixing it. Now, don't get me wrong. If someone in the club wants to change something, we listen to views and do things, and we do social events differently. And I suppose that's how we raise some money to pay for some of the stuff we have within the club. But we've got a good coach company. You've got films and stuff nowadays. You're watching in the bus. You're watching comedy shows. It's a bit different than the buses over in Glasgow. We're not allowed to have any drink in the bus, which makes my life a hell of a lot easier. Because sometimes I see myself with a few drinks. I thought, I don't want to tell the eyes up. But we've got security at the ferry ports and stuff that you're not allowed to do these things. And to be honest, you mentioned earlier about the club, does it run out of a pub run? And the size of the club in the catchment area, we don't really. It runs off a phone or two and a bit of interaction, and we talk to people whenever we go to the games, and that's just the way things are. And hopefully it just keeps ticking over the way it is and doesn't give us any headaches.
That's aye. That's good, mate. So we'll take our wee final break of the night, and before we head into part 3, we'll look at your hopes and fears on the seasons ahead. Right, Marty, I'm not even going to insult you and ask if you thought the passing of the Huns was a good thing or bad thing, but it's kind of left us clinging on to European games for that big game kick. So with that in mind, what's your thoughts on the league season we've just come into? I mean, you've spoke so well about your club and your hopes of the club and your own personal ambitions with regards going to games and stuff. Does them being down there take any desire for people to go to games?
No.
Not yourself personally, but just in general. No.
For most of us, it's priceless. Celtic's a football club. It's a way of life, and most of us looked at it being attacked from various elements within Scotland or the SPL, if we want to dress it up. And knowing that the people that were your enemies are no longer there, it's great satisfaction. I'll gladly. We don't go to see who we're playing against. You go to see Celtic. I think most people in Celtic Park look at it that way. The people who do the most moaning and groaning are the people who never put their hand in their pocket, or they're crying about £2 about going to a game and all this sort of stuff. The people who want to go see Celtic will always go see Celtic. And, you can see yourself on a Wednesday night last season, we're playing midweek matches. There's still 40,000, 50,000 people at some of those games. And if that's the way it's going to continue, and okay, we do admit things might get a wee bit easier, but as you said yourself, we're playing Ross County this weekend, and we're playing a big European game next week. Now, before, you had to win every single SPL game because you had a lot of competition. Now let's let that work in our favour. We'll rest a player or two. Brown's carrying an injury, Kyle's carrying an injury. Big players for us for next week in European football. We can rest the guys, or whatever Neil decides to do, and have fresh for next Wednesday night. And some of the other teams and some of the other leagues in Europe we're playing against can't afford to do that. They're battling every single week. So I think it'll work in our favour. As well as resting the guys, you've got people like Tony Watt, he might step up. Lee Dillon might get a game. So all the guys within the team, your next McGeady, your next Maloney, will be getting a chance to play football, because we know deep down on a Saturday we can afford to give these guys a match. Now within the club, we people brought this up at the AGM, and people are more determined to go to games. People are more determined to go to away games and do things differently for travelling this way. But it was always to go see Celtic, except for going to see Kilmarnock. They got a bit of a mission at the club. A lot of people were saying we had not to go to Rugby Park, but sometimes it's easier said than done.
Oh, aye, definite. So that's a very valid point you make with regards. I wouldn't even so much as say resting. You're talking about integrating the younger guys a hell of a lot more than we have in the past. The game just passed there against Madrid. Dylan took that so one, but up to then he had an absolute smashing game, and you're sitting there going, this guy should be in the squad.
Best guy on the pitch for us.
Yeah. So everything you're saying, fair points. So what is your thinking with regards Europe? I'm talking to people, and I'm getting a wee bit annoyed because people are saying to us, getting into the group, that's me happy. And I'm sitting going, well, is that the wrong attitude? What is your expectation? What's going to make you happy this season?
Well, first of all, you want to look and make sure the club's stable. You know, I do it from a supporters club point of view. You've got to have enough money in the bank to get through the season. So a lot of people now are saying things, make the groups, and, you know, we've enough money in the bank, that clears us for the season. Okay, and too many of us nowadays are thinking as though we're running the PLC or whatever. Mm-hmm. If you're in a competition, you're in it to win it.
Yeah.
And, you know, okay, we know if we turn and we're going to play Real Madrid, they're going to be favourites. But you've got to knuckle down and try and win the game. You know, try and play the Celtic way, attack, have the guy flying down the wings, try and score goals. And if we get the game that Juventus, it was 4-3, and the nights we played against Valencia, as long as we come out of Celtic Park, knowing we've given it our best, we've tried to attack, you know, a sense of pride, and over a number of years we got to be known over Europe for playing good football. A Gap, and Larson was playing, and Marachik was playing, and that's just the way sort of I hope this season sort of pans out for us.
Yeah, I'd agree with a whole load of that. I mean, you think of it, you were probably there yourself when we get beat 3-2 off of Barcelona at home, and we went over there, and I don't think we even close to halfway line. And
yeah.
You're standing in the ground. Were you there, Marty? Aye.
Was indeed, yeah.
Right, you remember how cold it was that night, and there's Celtic no trying a leg. They just sat and defended. We were 1-0 down early doors and we defended. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I hope this is a year to kind of, if we get into this Champions League, Helsingborg's going to be a toughie, I think. It'll not be easy. It's not undoable, of course, but you just kind of hope that we go out there and we just get a right good goal, and we don't worry about getting beat. Know what I mean? But right, just to finish off the whole thing, this interview's been cracking, Marty. I learned a hell of a lot. I'm going to give you your wee 5 minutes spell about Sevco 5088 if you want. Are you enjoying them? Seeing them on the telly and TV, Channel Alba or whatever?
To be honest, Scott, I haven't really watched that much of it, to be honest. I don't really watch much Scottish football on TV apart from watching Celtic. You know, maybe even other leagues I wouldn't watch that much apart from maybe Champions League unless I have a bet. Of course, it's nice to see them not there as much. I say them, a good friend in Glasgow, but we all know Jim Warden. That's what he calls them. He just calls them them. So it's sort of Jim sort of influenced a few of us to say them. We don't even say their names, some of us. But no, they can stay down there for a few years. In fact, if it was up to me, I would get our fringe players or the guys who need to go out and loan, and I would send them down into the third division team and try and let East Fife or Peterhead win the league. And then the next year, if they're going into the second division, send them to the second division. Keep them down there as long as possible.
Keep them doing him and Big Sandaz. I see what he's saying then. I'm laughing. He's coming out with all his quotes about how they're going to win all the leagues and they're going to win all the cups and stuff like that. They couldn't beat bloody Peterhead. But anyway, Marty, as I say, that's been absolutely brilliant, mate. Admitting we're stretching things a wee bit when we call it international, we're talking to somebody from Ballymena. But it's been absolutely brilliant to have you on, pal. So you said you're heading over to Dingwall and then to Helsingborg's?
Helsingborg's next Tuesday. We're flying to Stansted and then up to Malmo, and then Inverness on Saturday, and then we're going to the All Ireland football semi-final, Donegal and Cork. We're all cheering on Donegal.
You're going on to that as well, are you?
Oh, I Scott. This is just down the road, and there's a few of our friends from Edinburgh that live over there originally from Donegal, so they're coming across and we're down to Croke Park. But We beat Helsingborg, we beat Inverness, and Donegal beat Cork. It'll be a good week for everybody.
Oh, sounds cracking, mate. Aye, sounds cracking. Right, okay, so we play Ross County this Saturday. We play Helsingborg on Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, yeah.
Right, before I let you go, give us a wee prediction of two of them.
We'll beat Ross County 3-1, and I'll go for a 1-each draw in Helsingborg. Big Sammy score. Big Sammy. The last game over in Finland, Sammy done very well down the wing. He was unlucky not to score in the first half. He did the business in the second half. Now, you know, Big Sammy when it comes to European games seems to do the business, especially
different player, aye, different player.
When we're playing in the SPL, teams sit in and he just can't sort of break away with the long legs that he usually does. But the other week he was fantastic for us, and the guys needed to get a bit of pressure off them, and he was going down and winning free kicks and stuff. So I'll go for Big Sammy and 1 each, and then back to Celtic Park and we'll beat them 2-0.
Oh, happy days. Happy days. I go and stick that on now. Absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed that conversation there, mate. And you're a guy, I was talking to somebody about you today, and I says, I see Marty everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And I must admit, I'm very proud to call you a Celtic fan, because your support's unbelievable, mate.
It comes at a cost, Scott. It comes at a cost sometimes.
Oh, I've no doubt, pal. I've no doubt. Aye. Well, you keep up the good work, pal, and thank you very much for coming on tonight.
Okay, good luck. See you later. See you on Saturday.
Aye, probably.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Done and dusted. I hope you enjoyed that wee chat, because I certainly did. Anyone who goes regularly to the home, away, Euro games, whatever, you're sure to have bumped into Marty, and what a sterling job he does as a club chairman and ambassador for his own club and the club as a whole. You can see what's happening with the club itself by heading onto the website. It's www.ballymenashamrockcsc.com, where you can buy the merchandise, you can find out all about the club, and as well as getting the latest Celtic news. As always, we would encourage you guys who take the time to download this to check out the whole Hail media package. If you subscribe on iTunes, make sure you're not missing out on anything, and remember to click the download all button on the settings panel at the bottom of the Hail media page on iTunes. Only in the past week, 2 new shows have been added to the roster, with the Green Room starting to pod after all the matches, and 90 Minutes Cynic, which has been going on for a wee while, now come under the Hail media banner too. You can download and stream all the podcasts at www.hailmedia.com. We love to hear any feedback, good or bad, and you can hit us up on Twitter at Temporary Stand, on the email temporarystand@hailmedia.com, and on the usual message boards. Well, that's me for tonight. We'll probably be back on Sunday for a wee chat with the lads, and since it's worked the last 2 podcasts, come on the Celtic, geez, another 3 points on Saturday. So good night, God bless, and hail.